Guys, if a prospect says, yeah, it sounds interesting, and you're immediately going into your offer, you immediately go into your pricing, you've probably lost the deal. The thing is, as sellers, when we hear, I'm interested, alarm bells go off in our minds. We think, yes, I'm going to make a sale. So you go into pitching, you go into pricing, you go into a solution, you go into how we'd work together, and that is the wrong time to ask for the sale. You're aligning yourself with where you want to be, not with where your buyer is, and this is what causes deals to be lost. Sales can sometimes be like dating. You're going out on a date, you're meeting with someone, you're trying to understand their interests, you're trying to gauge where they are. It's like going out on a first date and you instantly ask them to move in with you. It's an alignment problem. You're at different stages. So it's like selling. You want to be aligned with where the buyer is and to understand with where the buyer is. So you don't ask for the sale too early, lose trust and lose the deal. Before we move into the different stages of the buying cycle, we must understand probably the key concept of why people buy stuff, of why we buy stuff. The only reason we buy stuff is to change. It can be a small change or a big change. Whatever it is, it's just change, guys. Imagine everything. Imagine on a Friday night, you want to go down the pub. You want to change something. You want to change how you're feeling. It's in the morning when you get your morning coffee. You're a bit tired and groggy without your coffee. You don't want to feel like that, so you go and buy a coffee. All the way up to buying an expensive purchase like a property. You don't want to live at home anymore, so you buy a house. But the same idea in each scenario and anything we buy is a want to change. And every single buying decision we have, it doesn't matter, it can happen over 10 seconds, like buying a piece of chewing gum at the checkout. Or it can be a long process, such as buying a property. Every single buying decision has the same stages: awareness, interest, desire, action. And the problem comes as salespeople when we hear a prospect who's interested, we mistake that for desire and we ask for the sale. And when we ask for the sale, when they're only interested, we lose the sale. So at the top of the funnel, we have awareness. Then we have interest. Then we have desire. And then we have action. The sale comes between the stages of desire and action. So where we make mistakes as sellers is number one, being unaware of where the buyer is on the buying decision. And number two, asking for the sale too early and destroying trust, and also selling when there's no built up need there or desire. Let's say you're having your first call with the prospect. They start to say, how does this work exactly? No, we don't have a solution to X. So you help us with X, is that correct? Then what happens is we mistake that as they're ready to take action and they have a desire for our product. So we start to sell them at that point. We get into pricing, we get into product solutions, we get into pitching. And they're not at the point where they're ready to take action. And like I keep saying, then we lose trust. So we can't sell too early. And the underlying cause of this, guys, is a misalignment problem. And normally we don't align ourselves with the buyer because we don't imagine ourselves taking this buyer on this journey. And also we're not aware of the stages. We can't pick up where they are along the buying journey. So the way to fix this is to constantly be thinking, where is the buyer on the buying journey? Are we moving in the right direction? Are we moving in the positive direction? And how do we know where the buyer is on the journey? We have to look at the different segments. We have to look at the different sections. So at the top of the funnel, we have awareness. Awareness is when you or your company or marketing departments, whatever, have created awareness of what you do in the buyer's mind. So traditionally, it can be cold calling and you've used them 30 seconds to a minute to generate awareness, generate a little bit of interest on that call, and you've managed to book an appointment. You can have inbound leads, which should come from YouTube content, it can come from ads, it can come from marketing, whatever you do. It can basically be any way that you have consciously or subconsciously generated awareness to the client that your company exists and you have a solution to their potential problem. Then the next part we have is interest. Interest, if they're traditionally, we're going to keep this, imagine we're on a 1 or 2 stage call, traditionally a discovery, and then we get into a custom demo. On the first call, guys, they're going to be interested. They've jumped on the call because they're interested. They've had awareness and now they're interested. So guys, traditionally the next stage is interest. So through whatever realm, you've created enough awareness for them to jump on a call with you. Let's work on a 2-call process. Number 1 is always a discovery. Number 2 is a demo. You've created enough awareness and a little bit of interest for them to jump on a call with you on call 1. Call 1 is all about understanding them, trying to find out where they are, where they want to go. They're going to be in high levels of interest. It's very rare that they're going to be in a desire and take action on call 1. Our goal is just to guide them, educate them, understand if there's a fit, and guide them along the buying process. Now, how you hear language of interest is, so you help with X, right? Facebook ads, you help with increasing retention rates, you help with pickup rates for cold calling. And you might ask a question around your service and they might say, no, we don't have a solution for that. And this is the big mistake. As sellers now, we may go in and we start pitching our service because we think, God, they need what we have. They haven't got it. And our service, it does it, mate. It does it perfectly. So you get into pricing, you get into pitching, you get into talking about how you're a right fit for them, and they're still at that level of interest. That is not a buyer that's speaking the language of desire. That is a buyer who's speaking the language of interest. And when we sell to interest, remember, we lose the deal. They're not saying they want us to fix it right now. They're not saying they want a solution. They're not saying they want to act. They're just answering the questions that you've asked them. So guys, we always want to explain at the start of the call, the agenda, especially call 1. You know, it's going to be, want to ask you a good discovery should all be about asking them questions. You say, just want to ask you some questions about where you are, where you want to get to, and any potential difficulties you're having. And just seeing if anything in our world serves you. We can discuss it at the end, whatever it is. But the problem is, guys, this is a bit of a separate piece, but it's all around the trust. The problem is when we ask 1 or 2 questions and then we hear them say, oh no, I don't have a solution for that. And then we go in for the pitch, we go into our pricing, we go into a solution offering, we destroy the trust. We said one thing, we said we're going to ask them some questions, and then we've done the other. We've asked them 1 or 2 questions and we've gone straight into a pitch. That further destroys trust. The language of an interested buyer is vague, it's not specific, it's just them trying to understand your service and your business, and for them to answer the questions that you're asking them about their business so they can realize the problem. When you hear interested language, your only goal is to dig deeper, to ask more questions, to find out the root causes of the problems, to guide them along so they can finally start to move towards desire. They want to desire your product. So when you hear language of interest, just keep asking questions, discovery questions, find out the impact, find out the problem, and also find out if you're a good fit for each other. There's no point selling something which isn't a good fit for one another. So guys, let's now look at what the language of desire actually sounds like. It's specific moving forward questions. How long would onboarding take? How would the first 30 days of this look like? How would this work with our current setup? Yes, this would be great. This would definitely help us with acceptance rates. It's language which assumes you're both going to move forward together. It's specific. It's for them to start. They're starting to think about your product, solving their solutions. It's them brewing the idea of you working together. So buying language is not buying, sorry. It is buying language. Desire, the language of desire is very specific. It's even them saying, can we do it for a better price, is very high buying intent. It's still a language of desire because they want to work with you. So interested language is vague. Buying language is very specific. It's them asking questions, imagining you and them working together in the future to solve the issues at hand within their business. So when to actually ask for the sale and when to close. Closing is a whole different topic. It's a different video, but I always have the idea that a good discovery is basically where you start the close. Close is not just like you do everything crap and then 10 seconds you put a whiz-waz-was, whip everything out and boom, you've psychologically convinced them to pull their credit card out and give you money. It doesn't work like that, guys. Them days are over. Too much information online now. So get out of your head. When the buyer is speaking in desire, you want to slowly move them to a point where you're going to ask for the sale. And when you ask for the sale, you're basically opening the door to the next stage, inviting them to walk through, which is action. Language of desire is just the feedback that you're moving in the right direction. And you can kind of, listening to what the buyer is saying, you know you're slowly moving towards the final step, which is asking them to take action. And ask for the sale. Asking for action is asking for the sale. It's asking for us to work together. So the final point of the video, yes, it's a little thing, but these little things, especially when you start to kind of your experience in sales, that's what helps you get to the next level. It's just these 1 or 2% changes, these psychological changes. So the key point of this video is to make sure we don't lose deals by asking for the sale too early. And we all have our own style. We all have our own style of selling. But at the core, we're only there to help them make an informed decision. That's it. That's all we do as salespeople, guys. We just get on the call, see if there's a solution, see if we're a good fit, and help them buy. That's it. Just put that in your head and you'll be relaxed on sales calls. You won't be stressing. So remember, don't sell too early, don't sell to interest, sell to desire, and you'll win more deals. Big love.